Well, hello there, and welcome to the very first episode of Jump Into Success, the podcast from the UK College of Personal Development. So this is the very first podcast. Really, this is a bit of a test or a beta, if you will, where we test everything and just kind of make sure that we've got the hang of how we do this. So for this very first episode, what are we doing? We're just going to be splicing together a few audio clips from different recordings over the last few months, some from the Be Inspired group, a couple maybe for some interviews. We'll see how much we can squeeze into the 30 or so minutes. So enjoy, be sure to subscribe because we'll be launching the full podcast very soon. Enjoy what you have today. Bye for now. Okay, so we're going to continue the theme that we've been developing over the last couple of weeks about developing a personal philosophy for success. And the reason for that is, of course, because there's a lot of chance for change in the air. When it comes up to the end of the year, we start thinking about, okay, what have we been doing? What successes have we been having? What do we need to sort of check on? What do we want to build on? And maybe even thinking, coming up to the end of the year, what do we want to do next? That's one thing. The other thing, of course, is we might be feeling in a bit of a stuck state and change is in the air and we want to make some change, but sometimes it just doesn't seem to happen. And the last couple of weeks, we've been looking at, this particular slide, the rapport, the ability to get on with people, being outcome orientated, not problem focused, acuity, noticing what's really there, not projecting our stuff, and being super flexible, being flexible, and all of this on the foundation stone of the presuppositions of NLP. And we said, the pillars of success, that's what we're talking about here. We think that if you have these things and you master these things, you will be successful generally. And the building blocks of developing a personal philosophy, we use the presuppositions of NLP. So once again, we're going to focus on one thought for this week, and it's this one. It's often attributed to Mark Twain. I don't know if that's true or not, but certainly this is one of the things that way back 27 plus years ago, when I first learned about NLP, bumped into it by pure accident. I think some of you know my story and how that happened. And this kind of rang in my ears, and it rang because it was like a little thought virus that went round and round and round. And I thought, if you always do what you've always done, you'll always get what you've always had. And I thought, well, what have I been doing differently that would make a difference in my life? Now, we've talked about maybe time for change, a chance for change is coming along. And, in coaching, we always say, now is the time to make a change. This is the chance. You stop, you think about it right now, act now. And we've talked in other videos about setting well-formed outcomes. But I just want to focus on this philosophical point here, that if you always do what you've always done, i.e., I want to make a change in my life, but I don't do anything differently, guess what's going to happen? Nothing. I'm not going to change. My world, my universe is not going to change. So if you want to make some changes in your life, you've got to make changes in your life. Habits, routines, behaviors, more importantly, thinking, how we feel about things, all of those things need to change. So if you always do what you've always done, you'll always get what you've always had. If you want to make a change in life, you have to do something differently. And in NLP, we always say thinking is a doing, thinking is a behavior. So that's where you might need to start. So to finish off, self-coaching question. And I really want you to think about this for maybe the day, or if you watch this late in the evening, maybe think about it overnight and then in the morning, and then commit to making a change. What one small thing, or one small habit, or one small thinking process, or one small behavior, one small thing can I commit to change right now? I'm going to commit to it. I'm going to write down, I will stop doing this. I will start doing that. That will start me in a new direction in life. And I often say small, measurable, easily implemented changes are better than big, huge, right, I'm going to change my life and transform overnight. it's not going to happen. It's too much to ask. So start small. Commit to one small change that you can do right now. What would that be? And commit to it. Well, hello and good morning to you, wherever you are in the world. And if you're watching this in the day or in the afternoon, hello. I hope you've had a great Monday. It's the beginning of another week. And we are fast approaching the end of October. Time is flying. I cannot believe it. But there we go. Right, we've got tons to get through, and I've got an announcement to start off with. So I'm going to jump straight on into the content here. And so the announcement is, really, it's just a reminder, I suppose, that the next Be Inspired Group live event is on Thursday, this coming Thursday, the 26th. We will be live and dangerous, as they say, at 7 o'clock p.m. So this Thursday, make sure you register. Got to register. And be with us on the 26th, on Thursday at 7 p.m. Now, I know people often say, Tony, why do I need to register? I'll just catch the video later. It's kind of cool. And that is okay. You can catch the video later. But if you're not live with us, you miss out. What do you miss out on? Well, you miss out on the chance to win swag, books. We always have a giveaway at the end of the session. Always have a giveaway at the end of the session. And it's more difficult to ask us questions if you're not with us live. So what have we got this coming Thursday? Well, we've got some fantastic content, some really, really great training content. And we've also got an amazing interviewee, an individual who's got a great backstory, really, really interesting, different, I think, from many of the people that you sort of might bump into on a regular daily basis. And somebody's really, really doing something interesting with the stuff that he's learnt here at the college. So I think you'll really, really enjoy asking him some questions as well. So make sure you register, and I'll put the link to register once again in the comments below. So make sure that you'll be able to do that. Right, let's get on. So the other day, there I was. Well, actually, before I even get to that, I was thinking, well, what shall we do today? I've done a little bit of this, we've done a little bit of that, we've got outcomes, presuppositions, philosophy, and other things. What will we talk about this time? And I thought, actually, I'll talk about my own experience. And so there I was out having my morning constitutional walk, trying to lose some weight, get fit, all those kind of things that we have to do. And I was just feeling a little bit not great, if I'm perfectly honest with you. And I think there's lots of reasons for that. The weather wasn't great. The news is just not great at the moment. It's just ghastly, to truth be told. And the house is a complete nightmare at the moment. And talk about like bombs gone off. There's boxes everywhere. There's packing tape everywhere. There's bubble wrap everywhere. Why are you asking? Is all that going on in the house? I might have mentioned before, we're moving house, and it's just total chaos. I just think, I just need a bit of peace and quiet. But anyway, so I was feeling a little bit down, let's say, for want of a better expression. And so we're just out for a walk, and along comes this smiling dog at me. The dog was smiling at me. And I looked at the dog, and actually then a couple of dogs went by, and similarly just smiling and happy. And I thought, Tony, be more dog. Dogs are always happy, and they're smiling. And it doesn't take much to get a dog, all fired up and happy, a ball, a stick, a treat, hello. And they're like, I'm so happy to be alive. It's fantastic. And my father-in-law, he's got a crazy dog, Maddie by name, Maddie by nature, Cocker Spaniel. And, his favorite thing is have a waggy day. We're having a video call with Bob. The old dog's there, all excited when he hears our voice. She hears our voice, rather. And I think, there's something to be learned about that, but focusing on the good and not on the bad. If dogs can do it, we've got more neurology, more power, more resources than any dog. We should be able to do that. So really what we're talking about here is asking the question, where's your head at, in a way? And so those of you who will remember, this is a still from the video, the Basement Jacks video, where's your head at, with the dancing monkeys, and they've got strange human faces, maybe a little bit scary, I don't know, but kind of good song, I guess. But that was the question, where's your head at? So I kind of asked myself that, Tony, where's your head at? What's going on? Why are you feeling a bit when you could be feeling a bit more can-do and positive, which is really the more resourceful state to be in? And so really I thought, okay, it's about managing my state. I talk about that a lot. We teach that on our course. And it's an important thing to remember, because it's easy to forget. It's easy to get taken over by the external stuff that goes on all around us. And maybe I've been watching too much, rolling 24-hour news, so much going on in the world, but it can have a corrosive effect. So I thought what we'd do for today's major lesson is to ask the question about managing your state. So what's that all about? So this is the state triangle, or the managing your state triangle, that is we often refer to. So the first step one, is our physiology. Our physiology. What's that like? Are we looking after ourselves? Now, physiology includes, this. If I'm doing that, guess how I'm going to feel? Oh, if I'm doing this, guess how I'm going to feel? That's the most basic thing. Now, we all know that. But, it's other things. Are we looking after ourselves? Are we getting enough sleep? Are we eating well? Are we drinking enough water? Are we getting some fresh air? Are we doing things to look after ourselves? Our physiology. That's the first part. Then the second thing is our focus. It's a where's your head at type thing. Where's my focus? Is it on the negative, or is it on a possibility of a better tomorrow? Am I working on my goals and my outcomes for myself, for my family, for my team, for my company? Where's my focus? Is it in the negative, or is it in the positive? And remember, that's always a choice. It's always a choice. So our physiology and our focus. Now remember, our focus can affect, in a big scale, our physiology, and likewise our physiology can affect our focus. So physiology and focus. And then the third part of the triangle is our language, our internal dialogue. What's going on in here? What's going on? What are we saying to ourselves? What's the continual tape running over and over and over again? Presupposition, the meaning of your communication. Ringing any bells, anybody? We all know it. So our physiology, our focus, and our language, our internal dialogue. Now, all of these things we're in control of. We're all in control of them. And so we have to really sort of work hard to ensure that we get the right state by watching our physiology, watching our focus, and just checking our internal dialogue and controlling that, what that might be. So it's got to be positive. It's got to be positive. So we need to be focusing on the future with a clear outcome. Focusing on the future with a clear outcome. Now, I know, I'm guilty of it myself, the news can be like almost addictive, because it's just rolling 24-hour news, there's ghastly things going on, and you think, oh my God, what's happened now? We're going to watch it. The trouble is, it has, over a period of time, a corrosive effect on us. And, we begin to have a poor physiology, a poor focus, and a poor internal dialogue. So the world's a terrible place, let's go to hell. Hell in a handcart. It isn't. There's lots of great things happen, but the news focuses on the bad things because that's what sells and all of that kind of stuff. The squeaky wheel gets the grease. We all know that. So to get, better at our physiology, focus, and internal dialogue, maybe don't have the news on all the time. Maybe turn it off from time to time. Yeah, we want to be informed, but we don't want to be brainwashed. And I read something very, very recently about just how corrosive that can be. So, that was an interesting thing for me to think about. And I've talked about in other videos before, you are what you eat. We all know that saying, but you're also what you think. And so what are we putting in here? If it's just negative stuff, guess what's going to happen? We're going to think negatively. We're going to feel negative. So putting in positive things, the power of positive, development. That's what we're about here, the College of Personal Development. It's going to have a more beneficial and upbuilding effect. And so videos like this, or the weekly ones, or the ones at the end of the month, or the live one that we're going to have on Thursday, and other things that are out there, books, seminars, and all that kind of stuff, that helps dissolve away some of that negativity so that we can focus on something more useful. So we focus on the future, clear outcome in mind, and we're continually working towards it and not getting distracted by negative thinking. Before I've talked about this, being rapport, outcome, acuity, flexibility, building this philosophy for success. And we really want to continue to work on that. The pillars of success are important. We need to remember them. Don't get out of rapport with yourself. Be in rapport with other people, but out of rapport with yourself. Remember that. Staying focused on our outcomes, being able to see what's really there. Yes, but actually there are other things too. And, it's like, remember the dog. The dog's happy by the small things. We don't have to it has to be big. We don't have to win the lottery to be happy. You can be happy with small things. See what's really, really there. And remember to stay flexible in our approach as we move forward. And building our philosophy for success based on maybe, I always think it's a good start, the presuppositions of NLP. So that way we build a growth mindset and we get away from the old fixed mindset that I've talked about before, and probably will again, because it's very, very important to remember it. Always going for the growth, the growth, the growth. To keep us focused, keep us moving forward, doing good things, helping other people, helping ourselves, helping our families, and so on. So there we go. Sweet. So why engage in personal development? That's the question that we are asking. and hopefully you'll be able to answer it by what I'm going to go through today, the content, the delivery, and also the questions that I got for our interviewee, because I think there could be some secrets in there that we could all benefit from. So why engage in personal development? Now, some of you may already know the answer to this. And in fact, I think looking at the list, the majority of people are college members on this call and will, be familiar with, the idea of personal development and who the college is and all of those kind of things. I'm not going to do an introduction to myself or the college tonight, because I think pretty much all of you know who I am and know all about the college. But what I did think I would do is ask you a question. So quickly in the box, in less than 5 words, maximum of 5 words, what your description of what you might say personal development is, and then 5 words. Let's have a couple of things in the comment box. What you think personal development is, or what it might be, or something like that. Let's have a couple of examples from a few of you. We'll take 2 or 3. Don't be shy. Jump in. Chris is putting in big. We've got lots of bigs coming in. Maximize your own potential. That's from Chrissy. That sounds good to me. Maximize our own potential. Yes, for sure. And in fact, that's part of our logo. We say unlocking potential. So we're all about unlocking potential. Getting the best out of yourself, from Ellen. Hello, Ellen. Lovely to see you. And it was good to speak to you earlier today. Vinetta, self-improvement, reaching goals, being my best. Yes, that's also exactly the kind of thing that we are talking about. Jane, opening doors to move forward. Yes, very, very good. And Sarah's got, what's that? Reaching potential after exploration. Now, the exploration bit is interesting, so we'll come to that as well. Claire says her screen's freezing. She'll log in and log out. Don't worry, that'll be fine. Shelley is saying maximizing potential and feeling fulfilled. Fantastic. And Diane here we have, for me, is finding out my core values and living by them. Yes, there's a lot about values in personal development as well. Great, they're really, really great. And I think that's probably a great place for us to move on then and get stuck into what I've got for you here today. So as always with me, I think most of you know, I always start with a few quotes. Oh, I've just seen this one from Christopher. Growth, evolution, improvement, enrichment, and progression. Wow, that's pretty cool stuff. We like that. So Gandhi here, we must become the change we want to see. We must become the change we want to see. Now, the change we want to see in the world, it has to start with us. And we all know that the inner world is where the outer world is reflected. So we want to make a change, we've got to start with ourselves. Start with ourselves. As Robert always says, those of us who work in this industry, our key thing is building a world that people want to belong to, trying to make the world a better place. So another one here, we are what we repeatedly do. So excellence then is not an act, but a habit. It's this habit of engaging in something that's positive, gets us to think about things, that's upbuilding, that gets us maybe to question things or stand back and reflect about how have things been going, where are we going in life? That's the kind of thing we're talking about here. And then Napoleon Hill, most of you will be familiar with him, I would have thought, whatever the mind of man can conceive and believe, it can achieve. Now, I love this quote, and I remember being in a workshop, and this is all that was on the flip chart for, I think, a whole morning. Whatever the mind of man, and indeed women, can conceive and believe, it can achieve. And the idea here is, if we can have it in our mind, and we can really figure out, that's what it's like in the bigger, brighter, stronger, more motivating picture, using maybe sub-modalities or any other sort of thing that you might want to do, and then believe that it's possible. You have to believe it. Then you probably can achieve it. And perhaps the person we're going to be interviewing later might even have something to add to that. My guess is he probably will have a lot to say about that. Manny Roberts is adding here, helps you grow and improve your developing. Well, it certainly does do that. So generally, and I'm considered by many to know what I'm talking about when it comes to this, when we talk about personal development, there's kind of a couple of key areas and the 5 main areas. And we're not going to spend a lot of time going into all of these this evening because, as I said, this is an overview. But in the future, we're going to be going deep into some of them. So mental growth, social growth, spiritual growth, emotional growth, and physical. Mental, social, spiritual, emotional, and physical. They're the kind of key things. You walk down to a bookshop and you walk down the sort of personal development sort of section, these are the kind of things that you'll probably see leaping out at you. So physical development, this notion of focusing on our health, our fitness, our overall well-being, whatever activities that might involve. Some people go to gyms or they go running. You are what you eat, so look after yourself. Don't eat a lot of junk. There's been lots of things in the news recently about hyper-processed food and how it's not good for us. So some healthy vegetables is really what we want to be getting into ourselves. So this notion of looking after the body, it's that kind of thing the hippies had in the 60s. My body is a temple. Well, in many ways, that's right. Jim Rohn used to say, he was my mentor. He would say, your body is the only place you got to live for now. So you better look after it. And that's probably some good advice. So mental development encompasses, acquiring knowledge, wisdom, if you will, or figuring out how to develop our critical thinking skills, being able to problem solve, having great communication. If there's one thing we need in the world is to be, great communicators. The ability to ask that question that really, really does open the door to understanding, or to going, I never thought about it like that. And those of you who are coaches watching, you'll have seen that in your clients. You ask that killer question and the lights come on in their eyes and they go, that's it, of course. Chrissy Reynolds is saying she loves Jim Rohn. Well, of course you do. We all do. If it wasn't for Jim Rohn, we wouldn't be here today, because he was one of the people who really encouraged me to set up the college, along with Robert and a whole bunch of other people. I think I've told you all that story many times before. Then emotional development. And this is quite important in the modern world, where people sort of fly off the handle at the simplest of things, where they don't control their emotions. We talk about emotional intelligence. And that'll be one of the things we are going to talk about in one of these events in a couple of months' time. So, really our self-worth, a sensible understanding of what's going on around us, situations, and that can involve, books, courses, things like Tonight, or having a life coach, or any of those kind of things that will help us to develop. So we've had some definitions, which have been great from you guys coming in. I really like that. But essentially, personal development consists of any activity that's directed towards self-growth, self-improvement, setting goals, educating ourselves, developing more leadership skills, etc., etc., etc. It could be anything. It can involve being interested in the arts, painting, studying something to improve ourselves. It could be work-based. I want to improve my management skills. It could be I want to become a better communicator. I want to explore my values. It could be any number of things, but essentially we're spending time watering and feeding the plant that is us. That's essentially what we're talking about. What ties all these things together really is, this notion of taking time back. As I say in the back of this book, the idea of this book is to encourage you to take some time, read, take notes, and then reflect. It's not I swallow this drink and suddenly, I'm now personally developed. It's over a period of time. So build, and develop a philosophy of success. That's really what we're talking about. As we said, it can involve all of these things. Mental health, developing social awareness, your interpersonal skills, maybe some understanding technology. I could have done with some of that this afternoon. Plug the microphone in, Tony. That would really, really help people hear what you're saying. So basically anything that really is working on you. But essentially, the key areas that we have in the next slide might be something you might want to consider. So these are the kind of questions that maybe even a life coach would ask if somebody came to them and they were in a stuck state. I know I need to make a change, but I just feel stuck. I don't know what to do. I feel like I'm on the hamster wheel, the grind of life. I'm not sure where I'm going. I want to make a change. Things aren't quite right, etc., etc., etc. So questions like that we would start, the start of a good personal development program might be, what do we want to do with our lives? What do we want to do with our lives? Where are we going? Is this what we planned? Look around. Is this what you had planned? If not, maybe it's time for a change. What purpose do we have in our lives? Is there some key thing that we're interested in, a passion that we have? Now, sometimes people go, you got to have a passion. You got to have a passion. Well, hold on. It might not. It might be something very, very simple. I just want to have a nice life with my family. I just want to enjoy going to work. I just want to have really great relationships. I just want to have some time to sit in the garden and go, that can be a great start. What kind of career are we looking for? Is the work we're doing satisfying? Do we enjoy it? Do we get something out of it? If we were doing something different, what might that be? What relationships do we want? What kind of relationships do we want? What values do we want to uphold? Often people don't even take time to think, oh, what is important to me? What are my values? And again, working with a coach would certainly help that. What type of lifestyle do we strive for? What are we working towards? The house, healthier, more informed, better manager, better leader, better friend? What standard of excellence do we aspire to? What standard of excellence do we aspire to? Who are we looking up to? What's that thing that we're working towards? These are questions that we might ask. These are the basic building blocks of a personal development program. Now, once you got those questions, you're going to say, well, okay, what's next? Well, we're going to answer them. Now, how do we answer them? We maybe do some personal reflecting, some journaling. We may engage a coach, some self-help books, any number of things that kind of gets the juices moving and gets us thinking about where it is we're going and what's important to us. So you see here, know thyself. From the Temple of Apollo, this ancient Greek maxim of know thyself. Know thyself. But what do we mean by know thyself? Again, this is one of the key things we get from a personal development program, an understanding of who we are. Who are we? We look in the mirror, we don't say, well, who's this guy looking back at me? Or I don't like the guy looking back at me. Or I'm afraid of the guy looking back at me. What's he going to do? I know who I am. I'm happy in my skin. That's what we're working towards. So know thyself is the beginning of wisdom. To know thyself is the beginning of wisdom. It's really, really powerful. Now, I looked this up today and I thought, well, I wonder if there's any academic papers on this one quote. There are lots. And I was going to start pulling bits out. And I thought, no, I'll not get into all of that. We'll do something like that maybe in the future, or just put in some of the things in the documents in the group. So, but this notion of beginning to understand who we are, where we're going in life, and what's important to us is key, and the building block of having a great personal development plan. So who am I? Who am I? Now, on our Master Practitioner, we have an LP process called Who Are You? And it's almost a question that's repeated over and over and over again with some sort of bits sort of inserted in it. Now, people on our Master Practitioner program are generally, they've already done a practitioner program and probably other things. And you might say, well, they're fairly well developed in their personal and indeed professional development. But that exercise about exploring identity and what's important and values, 9 times out of 10, emotional content comes up, tears come up. Why? Because often we don't stop and do it often enough. Where are we going? What's important to us? Do I need to make some adjustments? A little change on the dial, a little change of the focus. Maybe too much drama on the TV, or too much junk food, or not enough time spent with the people I care about, or I'm being distracted by something that's not actually that important. Taking time, taking time, taking time. Another Jim Rohn quote here. Personal development, the never-ending chance to improve yourself. Not only yourself, but also to attract opportunities and affect others. And of course, this has been the mission of the college to, yes, we're improving ourselves, the whole team here, we're endlessly on that, but it's to attract opportunities for the college and for ourselves, of course, but to help other people go, right, that's it. I can develop these skills. I can develop this way of communicating. I can develop these powerful questioning techniques for my coaching practice or whatever I might be doing in my job. It's a never-ending process. Now, why is it a never-ending process? A study a few years back recommended to combat the negative influences of the media, you need between 10 and 15 hours, 10 and 15 hours of positive personal development content. That's how powerful the media is. So that's why it's ongoing and never-ending. So Jim Rohn had these 5 things that are key to developing a personal development plan that was effective for an individual. First off, it was the ability to absorb content, books, things like tonight, other courses, events, beautiful music that will inspire us, spending time in nature, taking that time to really absorb the things around us so that we can really get something out of it. After that, it's the ability to respond in a way that's appreciative. Think, yeah, what am I going to get from that? I'm going to learn about that. which goes into the reflecting. So I've learned about something. How am I going to use that? What does that mean to me? What is that telling me about myself? And about what goals I might be wanting to plan for my future? And then it's the ability to act, to put our learning into practice, to develop the habit of going, right, I've learned that book. I've learned something from that book. I've learned something from that course. Now I'm going to go and do it. And then finally, the ability to share. Because if you want to really learn something, teach it. By teaching something, you become better at it. And the understanding of it. I cannot tell you the times that I have delivered the presuppositions of NLP to countless, both practitioner, foundationers, generalized personal development things. And every time I deliver that content, I'm like, I never thought about that before. Wow, that's really, really interesting. And it's a never-ending thing, this notion of developing this philosophy of success, which leads us to this notion of personal responsibility. And we used to run a course, and I think I'm going to rerun it. Responsibility, the ability to respond to what's going on around us in an appropriate way. Okay, so there you have 3 clips from recent recordings from the Be Inspired group. I certainly hope you've enjoyed those and have a kind of a sense of the kind of content we're going to be sharing with you on our podcast. So we'll be launching the podcast very, very soon, so be sure to subscribe and let us know what you think, and hopefully we'll see you on one of our live events very, very soon. Till then, take care. Bye for now.